Hi guys, this is Jen. So I'm going to take you through my process of thinking about how to do a palette knife painting. Kind of what I do is first of all, I get boards because you could get canvas panels, which are okay. I mean, you can paint on even a regular panel. I'm going to remove this camera stand. I have two camera stands. I'm not going to use one. It's kind of in my way. And it's very cold in here, so you may see me kind of move my hands around. But I'm going to take you through a process. I kind of do a Frankenstein kind of version where I see a couple people that do it, and then I kind of put it together and kind of mash them together to make it my own style. So what I've been doing lately is I've been teaching classes, and online, offline, and in person. The next one coming up is, let's see, this Thursday. If you want to come and join me, I'm going to be doing either a simple flower or we're going to be doing some of these cosmos. So if you're local and you want to try it, please come and sign up for it. Otherwise, I do private parties too. But what I was trying to say is when I do those parties or those classes or whatever I'm doing and I have a lot of paint left over on my palette, I will base coat with whatever's left over on my palette. Now, I don't necessarily keep that whole color on here. I might on this one. But what I do is I kind of get a feeling for what do I feel like when I look at this, and that kind of gives me inspiration on what I want to paint. And right here, I was thinking, just for me, I was thinking this looks like what it would look like in California, looking at the beach right when the sun is going down and it's starting to get dark, and it's so beautiful. It has all these purples and it has all these cool colors in the ocean, and anyway, I thought it would be a really cool painting to have. I did the three ladies sitting next to each other a while ago on the beach in the sunshine, and now I think I might do some, frenzy kind of thing, just kind of sitting there together watching the sun go down and having a nice moment together on the beach. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm putting them up on a hill. What I like to use are these, they're really cheap. I think I got these at to use my sketching. These are watercolor pencils. I think I got them at the dollar store, so that's not a big deal. This is just a plywood kind of cheapy board. I should use nicer boards because I may sell these. I'll seal them and sell them. But I like to use what I find, and I don't need to really spend a lot of money on finding stuff, and that's kind of what I want to pass on to you. So I went ahead, and I don't know if you could see that, but what the good thing about using these watercolor pencils is that they will blend into your painting, and you don't have to do a whole lot of going back and erasing your lines if you don't want to. So I have a reference photo on here, but I'm not using it per se. I'm using just some of the shapes on it, but I'm not going to be using all of it. So I have a woman sitting here. I want to have one in the middle, and if you are doing this painting, you could do whatever your besties are. If you have like a mom or I just put a little round spot for their hat, and I kind of, you can do different hats. You can do, you can come out and go around, or you can go around and make a circle. I kind of like these that kind of dip down. That's pretty cool with me. I try to get the wind going in one direction and maybe their hair. I'm just kind of putting in a what if right now, so that it doesn't have to match or anything. Before, the painting I did before, I did this one. I did another one in the summertime. This one's going to be more, it's like the sun's going down and they're not quite in their bathing suits. They're just kind of sitting there hanging out with each other and enjoying this moment in time. So I'm just kind of having them sit in kind of longer clothes. You don't have to. But the wind's blowing this way, so I'm having everything kind of shift that way with their hair. And I don't know what I want to do with the background yet. I'm just kind of guessing here. I do have it up. I am looking at something, but let me just make a hat for this one. So if you wanted to, if you had some besties or whatever that had different color hair, this would be a great project for you to kind of save, and then maybe do it in personalize it, make it your own. You know, maybe she's sitting cross-legged here and enjoying this sunset. Okay, so I hope you can see that, but I'm going to have him sitting on a ledge right here, kind of overlooking the ocean and the sun going down. So that's kind of what I got from the color, from the colors that I did here. So to be easy, I think I may start with a white. And you know what? You don't necessarily have to use a palette knife. You could use, let me put that down because this jacket's really getting in my way. You could use just a regular paintbrush and do the same thing. I mean, you don't have to use a palette knife. And I know a lot of you, especially in my classes, I don't know why, but you guys are like, why palette knife? You don't. I go, you don't have to use it. You can just use, you know, whatever you have. And I have a, believe me, the people in my class know. They know this well. I have a habit of spraying my paint all over the place. So if you're one of those that worries about dropping paint, please come to my class because you won't worry very long because I spray paint everywhere. Okay, so I'm just using a regular apple barrel. You can get this at Walmart paint. Now, if you are in the palette knife group and you want to get the same things that I'm using, like the Arteza, I'll put links in there later to what I love to use, my favorite things to use, including the palette knives, where you can get boards like this, all kinds of things in there. I won't do it now, but I will do it later. So keep that in mind. The other thing I wanted to show you is if you wanted to do this painting, without the palette knife. Now the palette knife is really cool because it's going to give you a little more abstract kind of look and really kind of get you to look at the whole picture, and it's more abstracty than it is real. But if you're one of the ones that are kind of afraid to start with the palette knife, you can start with this flat brush. It's just a small flat brush, and I'll put those in the links later on. But you don't have, like I said, you don't have to use the palette knife. And when it gets to fine details in here, we could switch to a liner brush. It really doesn't matter. So don't pressure yourself that way. What I am going to do though is I usually will start here, but I think I'm going to start on this lady over here, and I'm going to start with her clothes, and then I'll do her skin later, and we'll just kind of build on it. So kind of let the process do its thing. Let it do its thing, okay? So on this particular lady here, I'm going to give her kind of like a yellow hat, and I'm going to do some blues on this shirt, and maybe she's wearing a white skirt or dress to cover up her bathing suit. I don't know. But that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start getting my blues. So I'm going to need a couple blues. So I'm going to start with the darker blue. I have white on my palette already. I'm going to get a blue, and yes, I do spray stuff. So if you see me kind of grabbing some napkins, that's why. I spray. And it's okay. So I'm going to take my time with this one. Oh yeah, I wanted to do a yellow. And I also recommend to my students to get a mixed media pad and a color wheel. This is really important to see what colors will really stand out, like opposites will stand out. Like this really goes good with this. So you have your purples with your yellow, that'll look good. You know, your greens with your reds, so that'll look good. Whites go with just about anything. But what you want to know is that if you mix these two together, so if you mix these two together too much on the opposites, you'll get something that looks like mud. So please be careful when you're mixing them because it'll create not a color that you may like. So just keep that in mind. It's not a bad thing. And the good thing about acrylic paint, you guys, is that it will dry, and once it dries, you can go over it. It's no big deal. Once it dries, you can paint over it and start again, or you can just fix a part. no big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not a death threat per se, you know. So I have just 3 colors right now on my palette. So I'm just going to start, and it may come out a little light, but since I base coated this painting, and what I like to do too is I like to move my palette around. So I may pick up my palette and move it around a little bit. Let me put this down because I need to see that too. Let's see here. And it may or may not stay up, so I may have to reach over and pop it again and have it stay up. But I want to keep the values kind of what it was in the my reference. All right, so I'm just going to be putting on now. The yellow is a little thicker bodied paint, which means it's just thicker. Now, if you want like an impasto kind of thing, you can mix some gel mediums in there, and I do have some over here for you to look at. I may do that with this one. I didn't want to. I want it to be kind of simple. On her hat, I'm just going to paint it yellow, and I'm going to try to keep my lines, see my lines, but you don't have to. Now, you know it's palette knife, so you can just take your palette knife and go crazy, okay? Go around your lines wherever you made your hats and kind of follow it. What I like to do with palette knife painting is I kind of like to make grooves in my base coat paint, because when it dries a little bit, my other paints on top will follow the grooves, and it'll make a lot easier for you to get in there and make that nice abstract kind of look. And also, the other thing I teach my students, which the kids love, is that when it's wet, go ahead and put, you know, if you want to, you don't have to, but go ahead and put little details in, like you can scribble on there, you can make little circles on there, you can put designs in your wet paint. And when you paint over, if you want to, it just looks so cool and abstract and so unique. I like to tell the kids to do that. Now, you don't have to do that if you're one of those that really is like, no, I can't do that. It has to be this way. So do whatever it is that makes you comfortable. I'm going to put this in here, and I may smooth it out. I may not. Just depends on my mood. So this will be a night beach with your besties. Okay. And if you want to make them boys, like if you have a, you know, if you're a husband and wife, or you want to make a special beach scene with somebody, you can definitely change the hats to whatever you want. I mean, I may even come back and put a ribbon around this hat. I don't know. Okay, so there's hat 1. Okay, and your palette knife, I want those grooves in there, so I'm just gonna wipe it off. You don't need to wash it per se if you don't want to. Now, I may put her hair in here. I may want her hair. I don't know if I want brown. Maybe I'll do brown here. But we can come on top of it and put. Maybe I'll do a little bit of this. That's like a copper color, a metallic copper. And let's see if I have a brown. Oh, I do have a brown. So I may do like a copper brown color, because I'm going to put some dark in there later, because I want it to be a little bit darker. I don't want it to be light per se, because the sun's going down, right? And again, let me remind you, I'm using my socks. Let me remind you that you don't have to use a palette knife. You can use a brush. Okay, so I'm going to go in and start laying in her hair. So I kind of just roughly drew her hair right in here. Now, if I touch that yellow, that's okay. And I'm just dipping my end of my palette knife into the paint. A lot of people use palette knives and I'm just going to do an outline here. And I noticed that metallic paints stay wet a little longer than the normal paints. That's okay. Now, if you're in a place where it's getting dry really fast, you may want to spritz your paints so it doesn't dry as fast as you want it. I put it on pretty thick here, so it's not going to dry because I want to go back and put some details in there. So I hit the yellow a little bit right there. That's okay. I'm going to go back around it. And if you want to take that same brown that you have on your knife, and we're just going to make some dark spots now that we have it on our palette knife, a little bit of dark spots, and we're going to start mixing it in with our yellow, just because we want a little bit of contouring going on. Now when it dries a little more, we'll put some more contrast in there. Okay. And now, so we're gonna wipe your knife off, and we're gonna do some blues on that shirt. So she's kind of wearing a blue shirt. I'm gonna come back down here. And you could definitely bounce around to different areas of this. You can bounce over here and just do the hats. Then you can come back and just do the body. It just depends on what you want to do. You don't have to do anything I'm doing. I just dipped a little bit of blue and I touched the white. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling everything from right to left to make it look like it's kind of blowing in the wind. You don't have to do that, but that's kind of what I'm doing. Just so you know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. All I'm doing is dipping a little bit of the white, just a tiny touch of the white. And again, just to remind you, you don't have to use a palette knife if you don't want to. It's all up to you. It's all up to you. So you can do whatever it is you want to do with your painting. This is just how I do it. And I love to leave those little bumps and lines in my painting when I'm doing palette knife painting. Now I know if I'm teaching kids, if kids can do it, you can do it. So please don't be afraid to try. I want you guys to be successful. So I know I was thinking about saving this to summer, but I just can't wait. I just couldn't wait on this one. I just saw the painting I had done, and the back painting and the leftover paint, and I'm like, that kind of looks like a beach scene. And yeah. You know, I really wanted it to be a beach scene. So I know these girls look cold, but I think I may make that her arm over there. Her shirt's kind of waving in the breeze. And then I'm going to put like a white-ish, and I may even tip a little bit of that in the blue. I don't know. So the skin I'll do after I'm done with the other ones, and hopefully it'll be a little drier, because this is hard. It's harder to keep it cleaner when it's really wet. So I'm going to come in and get some white in here. And again, if it's too close, use your liner brush, which I may switch to if it gets too small, but that's okay. I hope you guys try this. She's kind of sitting on the sand right there. And I was kind of contemplating putting them on a beach towel or something, but I kind of wanted it to be a little easier. This will be, you know, easy-ish. How about that? Easy-ish. I even thought, oh, you know what? I can even, you know, if you have a friend that has a tattoo or something, you can even put something on her leg, or who knows. You can make it as much, what do you want? Whatever you want. Or just make something kind of abstracty cool. Go up on your wall. Kind of get you thinking about summer. Okay, so it kind of looks like a girl sitting there. And we have the winds blowing. So I'm taking my knife, and while it's still kind of wet, I'm just going to take it and go through my blue a little bit to kind of give it more of a, it's blowing. Okay. Now, if you're looking at this painting up close, it'll be like, what are you looking at? But when you look at it from far away or from a little bit of a distance, it's gonna look a little bit better. Now you can wait till everything's dry to kind of do your hair a little bit more. I just thought maybe I'd show you a little bit. So I just got into a little bit into that yellow. Yeah, I'll wait a little bit because it's still a little. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the next girl, and we're going to decide about what hat color. So I'm still thinking I want to put a ribbon on that one. Yeah, the next one I'm thinking I may do maybe blonde hair and a red shirt maybe, or white shirt. Maybe I'll do this one all in white and some red hair. So let me get some red. And I usually give myself way too much paint for what it really is. So I just got a little red on my palette knife. And you know what? I'm not sure what color hat should we do? I think my reference has, so I don't want to make it, my reference has white. Maybe I'll do a pink hat. Pinkish hat or a reddish hat, maybe a pink. So maybe I'll do a pink. Fix some of that. Maybe a little pink. So I'm kind of just mixing my blue and my red. I mean my red and my white together and making a pink. And everybody has those extra friends that are a little extra. And you know, maybe she's the one that has the big hat and the extra fancy, which doesn't matter. You can have extra fancy. I'm not extra fancy, but I have friends that are. That's okay. And I'm being a little easy with my knife. You can definitely come in and just do it really quick. Sometimes the quicker the better on these palette knife paintings. I was going to do some beach sounds, but I'm so afraid of copyright stuff. I got called on copyright stuff even when I didn't have any music playing. I didn't have any music playing in the background, and they said copyright claim on a music. It was ridiculous. And the other one I had was one that they actually suggested. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you guys had that issue, but I'm just so confused. If they're recommending a song to play on your reels or your lives, they shouldn't be getting you for copyright claim. You know, that's just my opinion. I mean, they set it up, they have you attached to it, and they even, some of them even put it on there before, and you have to take it off, you know, so, and then they say copyright claim, which is, it's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm kind of being gingerly, but you don't have to be. I'm picking it up and making it a little bit darker on this side, which I should have done on the first one, but I didn't. And kind of making the hat look like it's kind of moving. And you don't have to fill all of the spaces in. You could leave it. I mean, like I said, I like to scrape it a little bit. Now, when you're putting paint on, and you push down a little hard, it will scrape it and it will show the underneath. So, if you don't want that to happen, just remember not to push down so hard when you're painting. Okay, just push really easy. I'm just going to fill this in with some blonde hair, and I may come back with my detail brush and kind of put little details in that hair, like little curls or whatever, and make it darker. I may do that later. Now remember again, I'm going to remind you guys, palette knife does not mean you have to do the whole thing in palette knife. You can switch back and forth. You can do just the background with it. Play around. You don't have to do what the standards people saying. You can do whatever you want to. Okay? So don't think that you have to do the whole painting like that. Okay? You can just do pieces of it. What I would suggest is getting a mixed media pad and practicing your strokes, practicing your, because I'm pushing down pretty hard on this. Now, if I wanted it to stay a little bit faster and better, I wouldn't push down so hard. But I do like the little stripes and the little designs I make when I push down. I just like that. And again, if you don't like it, don't do that. But if you want to just like this, look. That's me barely touching. I'm just floating over the surface. Okay, so if you want to just float over the surface and get it on there really thick, that's how to do it. You just kind of float over the surface. Now, if you want something like I have, where I have little divots and cool little shapes in there, and you don't have to do that. But if you want to, just kind of really be gentle with your knife. And I went through the white and I hit the blue a little bit on purpose, because I want a little bit of blue in her shirt and in her wear that she has. I don't think I hit it enough. I know I hit it, but I don't think I hit it enough to show up here. Oh, there we go. Because when white's on there, blue will help make that stand out a lot more. Especially if you're doing snow, you know, or something like that. Blue is always a good choice with white. And again, if you, at the beginning of this, I talked about sketching it. So I just freehand sketched it. I'm trying to find a tracer program, and I think I found one that you can take a picture of it, of your painting, and it will make a black and white tracer for you. And that's kind of what I want, because some of these paintings I probably couldn't draw exactly the same again. You can definitely use, print these paintings out as references when you are drawing, but if you needed some help or some way to get, this drawing, and you're not really confident, or maybe you just, oh my goodness, I can't sketch that, that's okay. I'm trying to find a program that will take the picture of it and make it into a traceable so I can send it to you. Right now, the thing I have is, what is it called? Canvas. It's called Canvas, and I have to literally draw it on the computer screen. And it just, sometimes it just doesn't come out like this. And so I'm trying to find a good program. If you know of any, that would help. It would help to have a comment on here, or send me a message or something of one that maybe you've heard of or used, because I want to get a good quality. And I'm going to make those grooves so it looks like it's flapping in the wind. But yeah, I'd like to get a good quality tracer that isn't so choppy. Like I've been doing it for a while and doing classes, and yeah, my the way that I'm sending the tracer sometimes is so not what it looks like. I mean, it's like, it looks similar, but not the same. So this is kind of her leg coming down. Her foot, kind of, she's got her legs up. And this is kind of flapping in the wind. you know, it's hard to think that she would have even her hat on, because I know I've been, you know, growing up by the beach, and boy, is it hard to keep a hat on sometimes, even just the one with the strap on it. They just don't want to stay on with the wind. But so here we go. I'm just putting extra little flaps. I'm going to come back in here because I want it to be a little brighter with the flaps. Okay, maybe I'll bring the blue over, just kind of, you know, do a little bit of shading on this side. I'm just taking that blue and I'm just kind of touching up this side over here. And you can make your women as fluffy as you want to. You know what I mean? Like, you can make them bigger or smaller, younger, older. It doesn't matter. And if you want to, you can put a little purse next to her if she has like a purse. Okay, so we got the hair, the hats done on the two women. And the woman in front, I still didn't use a red, because I wanted to do one with like a red something. And I just didn't do it yet. So I'm thinking I'd do a red. I kind of want them to match in some way. So maybe another brunette with red on. A brunette. Maybe I'll do a brunette. Maybe a little more metallic-y. And maybe I'll do a blue hat. Let me get that up there. Maybe I'll do a blue hat. Yeah. And I wasn't sure. I was drawing this, and I wasn't sure if I wanted it all the way around or if I wanted like a bell-shaped hat. And I think I'm going to go with the bell-shaped hat because I like the way the other one turned out. And again, if you're looking at paintings and you want to, let's say you're getting brave and you want to kind of venture out and you want to do your own paintings, you know, and you want to start kind of doing what I'm doing. If you are going to paint and sell them, I would be cautioning you to do what I just told you. Frankenstein them. You get 2 or 3 different paintings from different artists and mash them together and make them your own, and that way you don't have to worry about, you know, my painting group is $1.99 a year. I mean, it's not, I mean, I'm going to raise it eventually, but you can use these paintings. I just would like a reference to me, but if you can use these paintings to paint or to sell or whatever, use them online, use them to teach, I don't care, okay? But anybody else will. They will care, and you can't just, unless you're paying for their services, you can't just use paintings you find and do them, if you know what I mean. You've got to have permission, or you've got to do something like me where you pay the fee per year. But mine's only $1.99 for this palette knife group a year. And it's so worth it. So if you have friends, or if you want to just continue whatever painting I come up with, you can definitely use this in your painting projects. So just keep that in mind when you're looking around, and let's say you get to the point where you want to just do a little bit more. A lot of those people are not going to be allowing you to take their stuff unless you're paying them. I picked up a little bit of yellow because I couldn't help it, and I'm just putting it in her hair because I kind of want you to kind of you know, really get that feeling that it's really blowing. And the light's kind of going down, so I want it to be a little darker. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off, and I'm going to use red for the shirt, the same red I have there. And I'm going to just take it, and I'm going to go, probably turn it on the side and pull it down. Okay, so we have another part over here where it's kind of low. So I want to make it look like it's a cute little, whatever this is, a jumper. I go underneath the hair. You kind of imagine it's going underneath the hair. And it's blowing. And I was kind of contemplating whether putting kind of glitter in here, but I don't know if I'm going to now. I just kind of don't want to. I want it to be kind of simple, but I might. I still might, because I'm that person, but... I saw a painting like this. I did a painting like this that was more, it was kind of abstract-y, kind of whimsical more. I think it would be more whimsical with the outlines and stuff. I did a lot of black outlines and real simple, made it really, really simple. This one's really simple too. But that one was more geared towards outline, a lot of outlines, a lot of just... You know, I'm going to put her leg in here. Easy shapes. So I broke everything down into shapes, and I can do that one again. I may do that one again. And it was like day. They were sitting on the beach. And this is really kind of cool. I like the way that they have their legs up. And they're just hanging out together watching this beautiful sunset. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to find, and hopefully I'll find it, my skin tone. So I want to get some skin tone on there before it gets too dry. Excuse me. And let's see if I can find, I think I see some. I put it out, but you know, and I can't be too long because I have to pick my daughter up. And she's out here. Because I live out away from town a little bit. They give kids at 14 a driver's license. Which is crazy to think that, but that's what they do here. So it's not going to be too long that she's going to be driving. My son's already driving, but yeah. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. I'm sure most of you have kids that are older and maybe even grandkids, but we had kids late. So, yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I know it'll be fine, but I'm just not ready. I know I'm wimpy. I'm just going to put a little, you know, just to kind of make you think there's a shoulder there. I'm not going to put a whole lot of detail in any of this. I like to leave it really abstract and loose. So this is going to be kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. I put like a peach color that for the skin tone. And you can mix it with brown if you want to get different tones. I forgot to tell you about that. But I'm just kind of putting it in here. Here's her knees sticking up here. If you want to put anything else, it's up to you. I'm just thinking she's sitting crisscross applesauce and sitting there on the beach with her friends. I'm just not worried about anything else. I was just, but I put some Arteza paint, and it's really nicely, it's real thick, it's real nice. And I hope you guys can, I haven't been watching to see if I'm on screen. Sometimes I forget to look up and see what the camera's seeing, and I'll be painting and I'll be completely off screen, which is okay. And I did delete a comment about me talking too much, so if you don't like me talking too much, there is a volume button. You could turn it off and not listen. and just paint. You don't have to listen to me. So I'm just going to put her skin in just a little hint there. I'm turning my palette knife up on its side to try to get a little, just a swatch of color right there. And I don't want a whole lot. I just want to kind of, you know, think that there's her skin's there, her elbow's there. Same thing over here, just a little swatch of color, and I'm just going to come run it down. And if you want to smooth it out, you can. It's up to you. And I'm going to put her foot in. My foot feels like that right now. A little scratchy. Okay, put her foot in there. Elbow in over here. And a little skin over here. You can put a little bigger elbow in, a bigger shoulder in over here. Okay, and if you want to add more, that's up to you. If you want to have a lady with darker skin, again, add some browns and stuff in there. They do make skin tone paints. I'm just using a peach. I do not have skin tone paints. I just kind of go with what I have. So if you have those, then by all means use those. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to kind of get my that's my detail brush here, and I'm going to skinny up some of those lines. Okay, so I'm going to take my detail brush, and I really like to get it wet. Now, one tip I have for you when you are getting your paint out, your paintbrush out of the water, try to kind of tap it off or wipe it on the rim, excuse me, because what happens sometimes is when you get your detail brush and you get it too wet, you get this glob of paint on your palette, and it's not what you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. You get a glob of paint, and then I get a lot of disappointed people that get globs of paint and water and stuff on there. So to stop that, all you have to do really is just dab it off when you pull it off. You know what I mean? Just dab. Get that little excess water off. Now all I'm doing is blending it just a little bit more. Because sometimes I can't get that little fine. I don't really want too much detail when I'm doing a palette knife, but I do want just enough to say, okay, here I am. All right, so I'm going to take my brush and kind of tap it off, but not wipe all the paint off necessarily. And I'm just going to get a little bit of brown. And I'm going to go on the outside of my skin, on this one over here. And I'm just going to put a little bit of shading here on her skin on the outside, and I'm going to do the same thing right here, just on the outside. I had too much, and I'm just dipping it and putting it on the outside to kind of give it like it is, you know, in the shadow. Okay, and then I'm going to put some underneath here. Now it's blending in really nicely because my paint is still wet. If you let this go and it gets a little too dry, it's harder to blend. But when it's wet, it's a lot easier to deal with. So I'm going to go up here on the shoulder and just put a little tap, you know, right there on the shoulder to kind of give it some shadow. Same thing on this arm. And I like to do it right next to the clothes. So I'm going down next to the clothes with this brown. And then the foot, the shoe. You can make this a shoe if you want. I just kind of thought I would do a foot going sideways on this one. And you can do a shoe or a foot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all what you want to do. Okay. All right. So the same thing with this. We're going to start with the brown on the shoulder and then work down. And then some brown underneath here. So we don't want to leave it, you know, we don't want to leave it kind of hanging there with no nothing. All right. So we're going to go and we're going to give some details to the hair just a little bit. So I'm going to take my yellow and I'm just going to go through and do some curly cues, mix it up a little bit and do little curly cues or little flicks just to make it look like it's kind of blowing in the wind right here a little bit. And I'm going to take some of that back out because we want it to be kind of dark. It's kind of a cool moment where they're just kind of hanging out. I take that same brown and I'm just going to do some flicks with it too in her blonde hair, but especially underneath this hat. Okay, and we're going to let it be blonder as it goes away from the hat. Okay, and if you want to even do some whites in there, you can, but you want to make it look like it's blowing. I may go back and I may get some highlights in there. You know, make it kind of look like she went to the salon and got her hair all did. Okay, now this girl over here, I'm going to take some more yellows and we're just going to kind of highlight over here. And she is just blowing in the wind here. I've got a lot of blonde hair. Okay, now the same with their dresses and stuff. We're going to take their dresses and I have that same brown and I'm just going to go along. See my grooves I made here? This is why I make those grooves, because I can follow along with my detail brush and kind of put a little something, little lighter color in those, or darker, you can use both. I'm going to wipe it off and I'm going to use, let's see, maybe I'll use a little white here, a little lighter, like a pink, to kind of look like it's, so let's use a lighter, not completely white, but light red. How about that? Or a pink. And on those raised areas, I'm just highlighting some of those raised areas that we had already made with the palette knife. And we could definitely come back with the palette knife and do that too. Okay, so we have details in there. We have details in some of them. I mean, when you look at it from far away, it's definitely okay. But I'm going to rinse my brush out. Okay, and we're going to go and we're going to put some blues, maybe a light blue. So I just dip my whole brush into that blue and I'm mixing it with white a little bit. And we're going to go back over here and kind of put the little darker on the top there. And I want a little bit of darker kind of on this side. So I'm going to do the blue kind of like this. And then it's going to come and kind of look like it's waving in the wind. And if you think it's too dark, go ahead and go back with the white. And we're just going to have it go, we're just going to have it blowing off. Okay, this is her clothes are just blowing and blowing in the wind. And I want it to have a little dark over here. And all those little grooves you can be putting the darker in. Now you definitely, again, you can go back with your palette knife and you can do the same thing. You can put your details in that way too. Our crisscross friend. And she's got her clothes. I actually like the way her clothes are blowing away and over here. Okay, so I'm just going to take, some, see, blue. I may make a headband over here. Okay, And I may make a headband over here. And that one I may do white. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of that really nice light colored green, or maybe a metallic green. We got some ocean breeze green. I'm thinking more of metallic green, if I can find it. Is this metallic? Yeah, here's metallic green. Okay, so I'm going to use some metallic green. And, you know, surprisingly, I should use black, but I didn't pick up my black. So I'm just going to dip a little bit of that metallic green. And I'm going to come up here and kind of just give them a little place to sit. Every once in a while, I'll make a little thing for them to sit on. My palette knife. And I had already kind of wrote in where I want it to go. I didn't really finish it. I wanted it to be, you know, at night, so I didn't want it to be too bright here. Okay, and I'm just scraping back and forth with my palette knife. I'm just kind of spreading that color around so it doesn't look like it's all a solid. And I may put a little bit of, maybe there's grass there, maybe not. Get some of that peachy color, kind of just touch it a little bit here and there, and kind of spread it around. And since I've been using a lot of the golds and metals in there, it's really going to be nice reflecting that. And what do I have in here? May have some metallic. Yeah, I do. I have metallic gold. All right, let's see if you like it so far. So this is kind of what it looks like right now up close. So I'm just putting some greens and some stuff behind them. And you don't have to do anything else. You could just leave it like this. There's a lot of color still left on my knife. There we go. I don't want to overwhelm it with color. I just kind of want it to be there, but not overwhelmingly there. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to know it's there, but I don't want it to be like overwhelming. Okay, maybe a little bit of white. Scrape it a little bit, kind of like, there we go. And up here, I just want to touch it just a little bit with the white, just so you know it's reflecting a little bit. Here. And you don't have to do it like this. You don't have to do whatever it is I'm doing. You can do whatever you want to do. And if you have a better way of doing it, that's up to you. I'm going to put a little white here just to kind of get like a little, maybe a little background. And you can come in and make it darker. Oh, I'm way off the screen again. There you go. That's kind of what it looks like right now. You can come in and make it darker or lighter, however you want. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am just going to splatter some dots up in the sky. And hopefully we don't get it too crazy with it everywhere. So sometimes I do it with a little, maybe I'll do it with a little brush. Or, yeah, this one looks good. So what I taught my students to do is to get your brush and get a little bit of your paint that you want to splatter. Get it wet and then really kind of dab it off so that you have some control there when you're splattering. So it's not like, and then do a couple little practice splatters to see if you like it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Do some practice splatters. So they're kind of sitting out here watching the beach, watching the sun go down, and the stars are coming out. Okay? And it is gorgeous out here. You can do whatever it is. You can put constellations like that. So the harder you push on there, the brighter it's going to be. And so I'm going to just highlight it like that. The other thing I like to do is put a little sparkle in your water. And this is where, if you wanted to go crazy with the glitter, you can put glitter in the sand here. I may go back and put some, let's see, I may put some more of those in there. But the focus is mainly just the sky. Not really the girls or anything else, just the sky. And that's about it. I hope you guys like that. It's real simple. So kind of like a girls' night, starry night, watching the sun go down on the beach. Sorry about the glare. I'll take a still of it, and that way hopefully it'll come out without that glare. But anyway, simple painting, calming. You can put this up on your wall and maybe put the colors of your friend's hair, or if they have something special on, to give them. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this palette knife painting. And again, you don't have to use a palette knife to do these paintings. You could switch back and forth. So make it your own. Make it kind of, you know, what you want to do. But I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Let me put this back up here so you can see it. There you go. Kind of in the screen there. All right. There you go. Thanks. Bye.